So Trap Lord Ross's documentary about King Von has been re-uploaded to YouTube here after being originally taken down by, well, what claims to be the cousin of King Von. And just a little bit of background here that if you don't know who King Von is, he's basically a rapper who was killed in 2021, I want to say is when it happened, in a club outside of Atlanta during an altercation with another rapper. But essentially, his history goes way farther back with that, all the way to Chicago and his affiliation with the Black Disciples. And basically, there are rumors, report, and evidence that suggests that he was involved in the killings of several people. So Trap Lord, to which he definitely played into that role in his musical career and just his persona online and as a celebrity. And Trap Lord Ross kind of made a compilation documentary of all of the information and evidence on all of these events that he's been accused of being involved with, reasons that people do accuse him of those kind of things, times that he's alluded to the situations that he's been involved in, and, compiled it into a darn near 4-hour long documentary, to which I actually watched all of the original time that it was uploaded. Well, over the weekend, it was taken down because of, like I said, King Von's cousin coming out and saying that, oh, this is damaging to his legacy and you're trying to spread narratives and rumors on, and slander the name of a dead person and so on and so forth. Also, FBG Duck's mother came out, not necessarily speaking out on the King Von situation or specifically, but really more so her son's involvement in the information that was put out there. Because if you don't know, FBG Duck and King Von were enemies based off of where they were from and what organizations that they represented. So, she was working on getting that taken down there. And then really primarily a lot of the reason why they wanted it taken down is because they feel like Trap Lord Ross is an outsider to the hip hop community and doesn't deserve to be profiting off of the what they would be considered a promotion of death and destruction. And let me tell you something. I am so fed up with this narrative. I'm going to go ahead and wrap all this stuff up and put it in a nice little bow, and then we're all going to toss it into the garbage. Follow me. 1, this is somehow a slander or defamation of character to King Von. King Von wanted this to be his character and his reputation. Every waking moment, every time that we saw him, every viral moment, every moment that spread about him involved him talking about violence, either past or the presence of or the present or future of what he's going to do violent to someone or with someone. That's what all of his music was about. And yes, of course, it was fictional stories, like his Crazy Story series, where he talks about these stories of people getting involved in circumstances where they have to shoot their way out of situations, where they get double-crossed and backdoored by women and greenlit and all kind of stuff like that. And so I understand that he's not talking about actual situations, but we know that there's plenty of times where he was talking about actual situations as well. Anybody who's actually paid attention, I mean, the documentary lays out plenty of times in which he's talked about that kind of stuff. So it's ironic that, the documentary itself completely disproves saying that, you're painting some narrative on him that he didn't already have for himself. 2, the music that they put out talks about violence, names people by name who they actually, were allegedly involved with the killing of. At least we know these are real people who really died in real life based off of the war and the beef that is going on between these communities. People who, children, essentially. I know, they were all children at the time when they were having their altercation, but now that we're all adults, looking back on it, and they're, 28, 29, still screaming about F so-and-so. I'm not trying to name names respectfully. This, 16-year-old when he was killed and stuff, and they're like, oh, yeah, but you got to understand, he was really, really a shooter back then. It's like, That's a 16-year-old child. So, you know, I understand that there's nuance to those relationships and things like that. When your life is on the line and when it's all about survival, you know, you will grow a cold heart. So I get that. But two, the people who are having the problem with this situation have no business in it. Meaning, FBG Duck's mom only started being all vocal about this stuff, like, you know, after the passing of her son, essentially. Saying, I mean, you know, she was always telling him to stop, I guess, doing those things, but not going hard enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and for King Von's cousin, nobody even knows who this guy is. And I saw a dude on YouTube. His name's King AK-47. I don't know his channel because stuff just pops up in my recommended, and I watch it every once in a while. Not my favorite if you see this, but definitely not bad on this. You know, I don't know the guy, but essentially I did see him talk about how, like, yeah, nobody knows nobody knows King Von's cousin. All the songs, all the people that he mentions, all the people that he's had in his videos, all the dudes where he's like, this is my bro, this is my such and such song and stuff like that. Your name never gets mentioned once. We have to question why that is, and all of a sudden you want us to act like you're relevant to this story. So, you know, that's just another subtle way of clout chasing and trying to capitalize off of somebody else's death and then use your opportunity to stand up with your fist in the air. And I'm sick of these these performative activists, performative social justice warriors, especially when it's men, because y'all are like that's for women to do, to be honest with you. To pretend to sway power and things like that, like with these social justice activists movements and things like that. I can kind of understand why FBG Duck's mom is doing that, because that's all that a mom can do when their child passes. But you know, for his cousin and stuff like that, who's probably at least halfway still involved in some stuff, it's just like, boy, like, cut that fraud stuff out. Like, I do not like, that's just not manly. It's just not manly shit. Notice how none of your bros, none of them did that, right? It was you who did that, right? None of them be having an issue with academics because they understand the reality of the situation. It'd be the lamest ones who'd be like, no, academics and them are the ones harming the community. Which brings me to my final point. You select and choose who you want to have influence over the culture, which is perfectly fine, but you can't block these people out because you feel like they're not cool enough. The people like the DJ Academics, the people like the Trap Lord Rosses and stuff like that, where you like, they never spent a day out here involved in these struggles and stuff. They don't deserve to talk about this. Bro, this is music. You got little boys and girls and stuff like that. And if little white boys and girls and stuff like that can listen to Lil Durk's music where he talk about shooting, so on and so forth, right outside the bus stop, and he dropped, and then we popped his cousin the next week, and woo bop and woo wop and all that stuff like that, then what, like, if little kids can listen to that, why can little kids not listen to people on YouTube? And I don't think little kids should actually listen to any of that stuff. But my point is, if people can listen to that and absorb that, then why can they not listen to reporters talking about the death of these people who you're actually claiming about are really going out here and harming people? You know what I'm saying? You see how it's them trying to control the narrative, or they don't want them to make money off of the situation. So I saw Sean Cotton of Say Cheese TV was one of the first people who posted about the interview, the documentary, right? And he didn't put Trap Lord Ross's name in there. He said, new documentary on YouTube claims that King Von has 10 bodies. And I could tell. So Sean Cotton, I'm sure that he has delusions in his head because him being a black media business owner, I'm sure. And I'm not saying delusions as to where he did not face racism or he has not faced opposition and getting into the, to getting to where he is. But delusion as to where he probably thinks, I'm a black business owner, man. I can't let these white people profiteer off of this other stuff. I just know how black people, I know how we think a lot of the times. And I can just tell because I saw all the other blogs on Twitter say, hey, so on and so forth, documentary by Trap Lord Ross. And then when the video was taken down, Sean Cotton and Say Cheese TV still did not say his name when the video got taken down because of his cousin. They're just like, oh, new documentary on YouTube was taken down by King Von's cousin, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, I could tell you didn't even want to name him because you didn't even want him to get the views. And it's like, first off, I think a part of that is jealousy, which is funny because Sean Cotton probably has a bigger company than Trap Lord Ross does. And if he wanted to make the content that Trap Lord Ross does, he at least has the money to do it. I don't know if he has the wherewithal or the ability to actually make it, because Trap Lord Ross has a very unique way, and the way that he creates content on YouTube. It's very good. It's very clean, concise, well put together. Does it sometimes come off as, what's the word? There's definitely something to be said about the juxtaposition of who Trap Lord Ross is versus what he talks about, okay? British, hoity-toity, white guy, like bowl cut, you know what I'm saying? Like, thick accent with the glasses, super nerdy looking guy talking about all this deep hip hop and drill lore and mythology. I understand why it's off-putting to some people. But who cares, man? Like, people thinking that they have a right to, like, dictate other people in that way without any pressure. You better actually be putting some pressure on somebody like that. Like, if somebody was saying, Jordan, you better stop talking about what you're talking about, there better be actual pressure behind that to make me stop, because it's not going to stop. Like, just so you know. But I say all that to say that it's like, bro, stop trying to, like, scare vloggers. It was one thing with academics, and I was always proud of how academic stands his ground against that kind of BS. But doing that to dudes who are in different countries, it's just so black. I'm gonna be very candid now. Like, black people do all of these things that they feel like they take these risks, through committing crime, being in gangs, and doing all this, doing things, going on missions that are illegal, essentially, or whatever it is, maybe not illegal, but just crazy, violent things that are, make up the unorthodox life of impoverished people with a propensity for violence, right? They go through all these situations and they survive them. And then they talk about that and they create a spectacle of that, especially with sensationalized social media, right? And they expect that everybody who is a consumer of this kind of content is just going to be a silent observer and never say anything about it and just look at it. And they're supposed to be these monsters where if they even look at us, we're supposed to be like, whoa, and look down and stuff like that. You realize that a lot of people don't look at it like that. A lot of people look at it as like an observation of animals doing funny things. Like, it's like wild animals doing things. It's like National Geographic to a lot of these people. And guess what? People make comment, look at these primitive people. And I'm not saying that I think that these people are primitive myself. I'm just going to simply say that, first off, the behaviors obviously are. And I understand that situation, like your environment and how that impacts your behavior is a very nuanced topic. I'm not going to give excuses in that same regard, because you think that that's going to make you immune to criticism, but it's not. Just because people don't understand where you come from, if like the video, let's take for example the video of the dudes in New York that I just seen yesterday, where they're in a smoke shop and one guy just pulls out a gun and shoots the other guy and stuff like that. There's no sound to the video, at least not the version that I heard or anything. So you don't even know what they're arguing over. Doesn't really matter. When people look at that, they're like, look at this disgusting way that these people handled this situation. They're not like thinking about, well, maybe they both are from the same neighborhood. And maybe if that guy leaves and he goes back to the neighborhood and tells all his friends what happened at the smoke shop, that guy has to go home and now he's got to deal with some people who may want to kill him and he won't see it coming and stuff like that. But that's the mentality that they have to think with. We see outside like, wow, these are two people in a smoke shop, probably buying blunts or something like that. And whatever argument they got into got so heated that the man had to pull out a gun and shoot him in broad daylight. What savagery is this? And the thing about it is, both observations are correct from different perspectives. And I can't blame, you can't blame white people for what you have to go. I mean, well, it depends. You can't directly blame white people that are around here today for what you have been through, what you're going through currently, and how you can get yourself up out of there. if you feel stuck, that's one thing, but there's really nothing tethering you to this. I mean, if you have to start again, if you have to move somewhere, if you have to do what you have to do for survival, people need to understand that the reputation, the clout, the coolness, whatever it is that you're receiving by staying where you are and continuing to participate in whatever vile situations that you experience, that is what it is. Nobody's going to come down from the heavens and directly lift you up out of your situation. That's not the way that this works. So a lot of these people stuck in this situation because they wanted to attain what comes with that reputation. So my final thought on this is for people like specifically FBG Duck's mom. I have a very, very simple message for you guys. When her son was alive, you never saw her conducting investigations into the crimes or violence that he was committing, or trying to solve that, or trying to stop her son from harming other people's children. I'm not saying that she didn't have those conversations with him privately, but what I am saying is that she knows who her son was, and you never saw her involved with any FBI investigations or anything like that on her own son or the gang that he was involved in when he was alive, trying to actually stop any of the harm or the violence that he caused to other people, that in turn came around full circle and ended up in his demise. But as soon as he died, she was so dedicated to every police investigation that she could be involved in to lock up all the criminals who were involved. And it's just like, God does not like that. There are natural double standards in the world, and I can understand you caring about your child more than you care about other people's children. That's your baby that you created. You know how you care about your child? It starts by how you rear them. You rear them so that they don't become the type of people who get involved in this kind of a lifestyle. That's what you do when you love somebody. And I know Monday morning quarterbacking is easy to do because hindsight is 20/20. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, this woman, I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's too late. Both of your sons are gone. They're not coming back, no matter how much you get other people locked up and cause pain to their families, because you weren't there to raise them at the time when it was important. And I understand you're a single mom. What can you do? Well, you should have thought about that before you let somebody stick their dick inside of you and create what they created, right? Right or wrong? Because that's how candid we need to be if we're going to sit here and deal with all this stuff on the back end, that you want me to be mad at Trap Lord Ross for making a video talking about these people and the things that they did because you didn't raise them right. Like this, I can't believe that this woman has the nerve to blame some dude in the UK for spreading information about her son. You raised him. Where was his father at? Okay. Were you, no, I'm not even going to get into all of that. But what I'm saying is I'm tired of bad parents blaming their failures on other people, because that's exactly what FBG Duck's mother is doing right now with her behaviors. Going to the FBI. If it was just some civilian mom and she condemned, honestly though, but if it was a civilian mom and you really tried to do everything for your child and they turned into the person that FBG Duck turned in, you would probably just wash your hands of the situation and understand that they've made their bed. That's usually that's how it really, really goes down. But you're not doing that, which means that you're like, so that's like people who want the rules to work in their favor, but don't like when the rules work against them. I don't like that, bro. I don't. There's no honor in that. There's nothing honorable about that. There's no redemption in that. God is not going to shine favor on you for deciding all of a sudden that you want to make things right as soon as your child gets taken away from you. It's sad that people have to feel that kind of pain to learn any kind of lesson or anything like that. And I'm not going to hold it against you if it did take that for you to learn that lesson. But if it's not that, if you still ain't learned no lesson, if you don't understand and you just want people to feel pain because you felt pain because you lost your children and stuff like that, you're going to feel that pain forever. That's hell, baby.